We're facing a lot of complicated issues across the globe nowadays in 2025, and while our world leaders tackle those issues through diplomacy, through negotiation, or unfortunately through some other more aggressive means, our students here in Oakland County and Greater West Bloomfield and across the state of Michigan are trying to tackle those issues themselves, and doing so through organizations like Model UN. And some of our local students, in fact, doing that very well, winning big awards at Model UN's recent meeting last weekend at Michigan State University. One of them is West Bloomfield High School student Harshitha Sankaranarayanan, who joins us now on the Splash Live. Harshitha, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, happy to have you on to talk about this journey, because I remember you mentioning it at the school board meeting recently as you talked to the board about Model UN. This was a long night for you to participate in Model UN and ultimately come out with the award as best delegate. So first off, just take us through that experience of being part of what was called a midnight crisis simulation.
Sure. So a lot of the big college conferences like MSU, they start doing these things called midnight crises. So I was able to participate in that. They had, I think, one person max from every school participating, and it was from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning. So obviously a pretty weird time, and it was directly following another committee session we had during the actual day. So we didn't get the topic revealed to us until we showed up. It was a lot of fun. The topic was about a global monster summit, so it was supposed to be a little bit fun, a little quirky, and just entertaining. And we were all able to practice our speaking skills and communicating, which of course gets harder when you're a little sleep deprived and it's like getting closer to midnight. But we had a lot of fun engaging with other people.
And so how does that teach you sort of the ways that global government can work? It's one thing to learn about it in the classroom, to hear about it in the news, to sort of analyze it from what you read and what you listen to and what you watch. But it's, I'd imagine, very different when you're participating in it yourselves with your peers.
Yeah, of course. And I think the great thing about Model UN is that oftentimes you don't get a lot of choice in what country you're representing. You get assigned one. And it's interesting to get to take that persona of that character or that country, even if you don't necessarily agree with all those things yourself. And getting to embody that gets you to kind of see the world from new perspectives and understand maybe a perspective that I might not resonate with on a daily basis. And getting to play that role makes it a lot easier to understand kind of how that plays a part in our global politics and how we can come to compromise in real life.
And so as you analyze that and you experience that, how does that change maybe your perspective on the role that our world leaders have, both at our federal level here in Washington, D.C., but others from our allies in places across the world, and even some of our adversaries in common places like Moscow and Tehran and others, as they're also tackling these issues that impact their nations?
Yeah, of course. I think it makes me realize how difficult it truly is on a global stance to come together, especially on such controversial issues sometimes, and that every single country's got their own domestic concerns, and that coupled with trying to make some global order and peace occur can be difficult. So it really puts that into perspective and has me having a lot more respect for those leaders, but also puts a lot more responsibility on those people and a lot of hope that they can do good things for the future.
Michigan's best delegate for Model UN is with us on the Splash Live. She is a student at West Bloomfield High School. Harshitha Sankaranarayanan is joining us on the Splash today, talking about the most recent Model UN state competition, where she won awards for her performance in their midnight crisis simulation. And Harshitha, for those that are maybe considering different ways to participate at West Bloomfield High School, what makes Model UN special for you and or may make it a special experience for someone that's looking to get involved at WB?
Absolutely. I think Model UN is a really amazing opportunity for people who maybe aren't so familiar with talking publicly, might have some trouble with that, or are interested in getting involved. It's a way that you can engage with current events and maybe even historical events, get involved with global politics, also have an opportunity to communicate with peers across the entire state and maybe even across the nation if you're able to go to some of the bigger conferences. And it really helps you see a lot of new perspectives, get your voice out there, and really learn a lot. Over my 4 years in high school, I've learned a lot through Model UN, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone else.
And I would think, too, it's a big lesson in diplomacy. That can come in handy when you're a high school student. A lot of drama sometimes can happen in those hallways. How has that maybe helped you in your day-to-day life as a high school student, managing all these different relationships? You're also our student liaison for the school board for West Bloomfield High School. So how has this experience helped you in other leadership capacities?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think in contrast to, I also participate in the debate team. Model UN is something that's really focused on compromise and coming together for a solution. It's not about who can make the biggest war or who can make the biggest personal goals happen, even though sometimes that does come into play. It's about making sure that everyone can come to a global consensus that helps the most amount of people. And that ideology really helps to guide me in my daily life. With being the student liaison, it helps me to communicate with my other peers through other clubs and share out that information, represent all the clubs and things that are happening at the West Bloomfield High School. And it also helps in my day-to-day life with trying to see the other side of arguments and trying to be more on the same page with my friends and my peers rather than always wanting to win an argument.
Harshitha Sankaranarayanan is with us on the Splash Live. Perhaps West Bloomfield High School's best diplomat, certainly the best delegate for Model UN across the state of Michigan, according to the most recent state competition. Harshitha, before we let you go, any lasting messages about your Model UN experience that you'd like to tell us about or provide to your community?
Just overall, I would really recommend it to anyone. When I first came to high school, I did not know what Model UN was, and I really recommend that if you haven't heard about it before or just like barely are familiar with it, that you check it out, get an idea, go to a meeting, and just see if maybe it's something that could be for you, because it's a lot of fun. Even if it seems boring at first, genuinely, it's been one of the best opportunities in my high school career, and I'm so grateful to have it.
Great excuse to stay up past your bedtime. Harshitha, thanks so much.
Thank you.